NBA teams are trading for superstars left and right to have a better chance at winning a championship. And with the NBA becoming more stacked, it's getting harder to win a ring. So we're going to find out what a championship in 2027 would do for every superstar's legacy, starting with Luka Doncic. In the 2026 season, Luka has continued to perform like one of the best players in the world. He averaged 33, 8, and 8 this season and won the scoring title. But despite putting up Hall of Fame numbers through his entire career, he still hasn't won an MVP or a championship yet, even though he probably should have won MVP in 2024. If Luka wins a championship in 2027, he would finally win some hardware. But not only that, Luka would potentially move up to becoming easily a top 30 player of all time. Although his chances aren't looking too good, as the Lakers aren't giving him much help and the pieces that he needs to win. Only time will tell if Luka can get a ring, but for now, he still doesn't have one. Now, the next superstar on this list is Jalen Brunson. We all know that in 2026, Brunson and the Knicks won the championship in 5 games to beat the Spurs, with Brunson having one of the greatest finals performances in NBA history. He averaged 32 points a game in that final series, which is the highest points per game averaged by a point guard in the finals. If Jalen Brunson somehow wins another ring and finals MVP in 2027, not only will he be the best player in the league, but he'll also be in discussions as a top 10 point guard of all time, and he would be just the second point guard in history to have multiple finals MVPs. But unfortunately, with the CBA, it's going to be tough for the Knicks to win it again, since they were forced to give up key pieces. Kevin Durant is the next superstar on this list. Despite being 36 years old, Kevin Durant is still one of the best scorers in the league and is still a superstar. Durant went out with a disappointing loss in the first round of the playoffs to the Lakers, despite everyone thinking the Rockets were going to win that series. KD has quite a bit to prove. Ever since he left the Warriors, he hasn't won another ring, and despite ring chasing and trying to form multiple super teams, he still hasn't even made it to the conference finals. As great as he is, Durant has been one of the most disloyal stars in NBA history and has gotten a lot of criticism for it. If KD wins a ring and finals MVP this season, he would silence some of the haters that he can lead and carry a team on his own. But then again, I still think there would be a ton of hate towards him, since he's had a reputation as being the bus rider on teams and never actually being a leader. Most people also call his 2 rings fake and that they don't hold any value for his legacy. If Durant wants to really silence a lot of haters, he's gonna have to lead and carry a team with no all-star help and win a championship. Now, our next superstar just got traded recently. It's Jaylen Brown. JB is arguably in the peak of his prime. He finished 6th in MVP voting last season, and he averaged 29, 7, and 5 a game while being one of the best two-way players in the league. He carried Boston to the 2nd seed in the East without Jayson Tatum. It is insane how a franchise would give away a former finals MVP for an aging podcaster and a couple of picks. A lot of people say Jaylen Brown didn't deserve that finals MVP over Tatum. And now sure, Tatum did average more points, assists, and rebounds, but Brown was far more efficient from the field, had a higher true shooting percentage, and was more clutch in that final series than Tatum. This trade might be worse than the Luka trade to LA. It's genuinely mind-boggling that the Celtics decided to do this. Now Brown has an even better shot to win the title, with Tyrese Maxey, Edgecombe, and Embiid as his teammates. So if JB wins the title in 2027, it would be sweet revenge against the Celtics, and it would make him a true number 1 option, which would also make him one of the defining players of his generation. I hope Brown does win a ring in Philly, just so he can show the Celtics that they undervalued him. Now, the next player that isn't undervalued by his team is Steph Curry. We all know Steph is the greatest shooter of all time and that he's still a top 10 player in the league. Steph is still putting up legendary numbers in 2026 despite being 38 years old. He's still in his prime with plenty left in the tank, but despite still being one of the best players in the world, the Warriors are doing very little to help him win another title. With Jimmy Butler still out, Curry has no all-star help to support him. Steph has nothing else to prove in his career. He's already done it all. But if he wins another title in 2027, Curry will have 5 rings, creep into top 5 all-time territory, and will make himself the greatest point guard of all time over Magic Johnson, becoming also the oldest superstar to win a ring and finals MVP. With Anthony Edwards ascending into superstar status, it's not surprising if he wins a ring soon in his career. In fact, Edwards has made the playoffs every year except his rookie season in 2021. He had another spectacular season with the Timberwolves, but would lose in the second round to the Spurs. He finished third in scoring, averaging 29 points a game, and shot 40% from 3. Edwards has already won a gold medal and an All-Star Game MVP in his career. If he wins a championship this season, Ant would make his case as the future face of the NBA over Wemby and would make him one of the best players in the league. And with LaMelo Ball being on his team now, he's got an all-star teammate that can help him out and make his life easier. LeBron James will be 42 years old going into his 24th season in 2027. And still, he is a superstar and will always be a superstar in the NBA until he retires. Now, despite being extremely old, LeBron still performed better than 80% of the league this season, and he silenced all the haters who said that he couldn't carry the Lakers without Luka to beat the Rockets in the first round of the playoffs. This offseason, LeBron announced that he would officially be playing for a different team and would be leaving the Lakers. Despite being the #1 option on every team he's played on for almost his entire legendary career, those days are probably over now. Regardless of which team he joins next, he'll probably be a second or third option. Now, if he wins the championship in 2027, he would add to his case as the greatest of all time and would sway more fans into his corner rather than Michael Jordan's. However, I still think majority of fans would say MJ's the GOAT. In fact, if you look at all their accolades and achievements, even if LeBron won another ring and Finals MVP, Jordan would still exceed LeBron in every major award except all NBA teams. But to be fair, LeBron still sustained excellence longer than Jordan and would become the oldest star in history to win a championship in the NBA. Now, our next player on the list is Cade Cunningham. Cunningham has been one of the more underrated stars in the NBA. Just a couple seasons ago, he was part of the worst team in all of sports, and years later, he has made them the 1 seed in the East multiple years in a row, and he's made the second round of the playoffs twice. He averaged 24 points and 10 assists a game and broke out as a legit MVP player. However, even though his team performs well in the regular season, the playoffs are a completely different story, since they aren't as good and are also considered the most fraudulent 1 seed in the East over the past couple years. Now, if Cade can somehow win a ring next season, it would make him debatably the best player in the Eastern Conference and one of the best future stars of the league. He would also be the catalyst to one of the fastest turnarounds in a franchise, from going from the 15th seed to winning a ring just a couple years later. Now, our next player is Jayson Tatum. Last season, he tore his Achilles in the playoffs, and miraculously, he has come back in record time and is still putting up legit star numbers, with averages of 22, 10, and 5. Unfortunately, he and the Celtics would choke a 3-1 lead to their biggest rival in the 76ers, losing in the first round of the playoffs. And with his superstar teammate getting traded, Tatum is going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting if he wants to compete at another title. Despite coming off an Achilles injury, many people still criticize Tatum for not winning the Finals MVP in 2024 and not stepping up when the Celtics needed him most. So if Jayson Tatum wins a ring in 2027 and a Finals MVP, not only will he have silenced all the chatter of him being the second option to Jaylen Brown, but it would make him one of the most accomplished and dominant players of his generation. He would also be a top 35 player of all time and become the first Finals MVP in history to win a ring after an Achilles injury. Now, the next current superstar in the league has one of the highest offensive peaks of all time, Nikola Jokic. Just like Steph and LeBron, Nikola Jokic really has nothing to prove in his career. He's already won a title, multiple MVPs, and has been the best player in the world for arguably over half a decade, something that has only been done by a few players. In 2026, Jokic had another historical season, averaging a 28-point triple-double. However, he did have a horrible leg injury during the season, which would slow his game down and performance in the playoffs. Jokic also got clamped by Rudy Gobert, in which they lost in the first round of the playoffs. If Jokic does, however, win another ring in his career, it would solidify him as arguably a top 10 player of all time, and one of the greatest centers to ever play this game. Like I said, Jokic doesn't have much to prove, but he has everything to gain from a championship. Kawhi Leonard is one of the very few old superstars still in this league, and with him having the best season this late into his career, Kawhi's got plenty left in the tank to compete at another title. And with him getting potentially traded back to the Raptors to form a star duo with Scottie Barnes, Kawhi's chances of winning a title are looking pretty good. He finished 7th in MVP voting this season and averaged 28 and 6 a game. And although he lost in the play-in tournament, that's not going to happen this season if he goes to the Raptors. So if Kawhi wins a ring in 2027, he'll leap into top 20 and arguably a top 15 player of all time. If you look at his resume, it's actually insane what he has accomplished despite not playing a ton. If he were to win, he would have 3 rings, 3 finals MVPs, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and would be one of the best two-way players this game has ever seen. Only LeBron James has won a ring and finals MVP on 3 different teams. So yeah, Kawhi has a lot to gain from this championship, and he even has a little bit to prove to make up for all that load management he's had over the past couple seasons. Another superstar that also got traded this offseason is Giannis Antetokounmpo. After spending his entire career with the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis decided he wanted to go to the Miami Heat to form a star pairing with Bam Adebayo. Now, although he's on the Heat, which are a better team, I still feel like this doesn't move the needle. This team isn't scaring anyone. Although their interior defense is amazing, unless Miami can acquire some good shooters, they're not going to win a title. Giannis, however, is still in his absolute prime and has continued to be one of the best players in the NBA for almost an entire decade, something that is only done by Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Now, however, if Giannis does win another title this season, he would become a top 15 all-time great, and he would spark a debate that he is the greatest power forward of all time. Even if he doesn't win, Giannis doesn't have much to prove. He's accomplished basically everything, but he should still strive for another title to help solidify his legacy. With Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being arguably the best player in the world for the past couple seasons and doing things that very few all-time greats have done, another championship for him would mean a lot for his legacy. SGA and the Thunder have been the most dominant team in the West, claiming the 1 seed with ease and winning 60+ games every season. They've already won a championship in 2025 as one of the youngest teams in history and almost made the finals again, but lost to the Spurs in the conference finals. However, if Shai wins another ring and finals MVP in 2027, you could arguably say that he is one of the top 3 greatest point guards of all time. Take a look at his resume. If he were to win another ring, he would have 2 rings, 2 finals MVPs, 2 league MVPs, and is also one of the best scoring point guards in history, accomplishing all of this at just 28 years old. A lot of people, including myself, don't like Shai's foul baiting tactics and the phantom calls that he gets from the referees, but you can't deny what he's accomplished and the generational player that he is, and I believe that he's going to continue to achieve more in his career and possibly another championship. Joel Embiid is one of the most injury-prone superstars we've seen in the NBA. When he's playing, he's one of the best players in the world, but over the past 5 years, he's had on and off knee injuries that have forced him to miss a ton of games. And although he's had those injuries, apparently you can't tell, because he's still performing like an all-time great, averaging 27, 7, and 4 a game this season. I know he's been injured a lot and has had a history of failing in the playoffs, but the fact that he's still putting up these kinds of numbers shows that Embiid is still a legit superstar. And with Jaylen Brown becoming his teammate, he's got a real good shot at finally making a finals appearance. Now, if he does win a championship in 2027, it would help erase the narrative that he chokes in the playoffs and can never win when it matters. If he also wins a finals MVP, which is unlikely, Embiid will be in a group with all-time centers like Shaq and Hakeem. Now, our final superstar in the league is Victor Wembanyama. As we all know, Wemby made the finals last season at just 22 years old and is already one of the best players in the world. Victor has the potential to become the greatest player of all time. He became the first ever unanimous DPOY in NBA history and finished 3rd in MVP voting this season despite playing on a significant minutes restriction, and is arguably already the greatest defensive center of all time. If he were to win a ring in 2027, it would make him easily the future face of the NBA, a top-tier superstar, and it would spark a huge debate on him potentially becoming the GOAT. Jordan and LeBron won their first ring at around 26 to 27 years old, but if Wemby wins the title in 2027, it would make him just 23 years old, becoming one of the youngest superstar champions and finals MVPs in history. I believe he will win multiple rings in his career and multiple MVPs, and that he'll potentially become one of the greatest players of all time if he can stay healthy and have a long career. No player can truly lock down Wemby. And as his game expands, it's going to be almost impossible to stop him. Only time will tell how much he can accomplish in his career. If you stay to the end, I appreciate you for watching this video. And if you want another video of mine, you should click this one.